Mama taught me how to live, Daddy taught me how to give. Both of them had their own sins, down to the river. Every man has felt the shame, all our blood, it runs the same. Father, hear us as we pray, down to the river, down to the river. Sing, oh, oh, bury me, carry me, oh, oh, far beneath, oh, oh, fire and water me, going down deep, singing, oh, oh, bury me, carry me, oh, oh, far beneath, oh, oh, fire and water me, washing me clean, carry sea,
Hi, welcome to the Cryptid Wilderness Research Podcast. I am CWR Team member Daniel Becker up here in Anchorage, Alaska, staring into the Arctic abyss. And Matt Slater, my fellow host, is off tonight and will be back with us next week. So tonight we're going to talk about the Florida skunk ape. And ever since the earliest published report back in 1942, multiple sightings of the Florida skunk ape have occurred, 1942, 1957, throughout the 60s, into the 80s, and up to present day. So joining me tonight from the state of Florida, out of Lakeland, Florida, my guest, Bronson Grooms. Let's bring him in. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us tonight. We really appreciate it. And this is actually the first show we've done regarding this particular topic of the Florida skunk ape, but it's always a big topic in research circles. So we've been really looking forward to hearing your story. So you're out of Lakeland, Florida. Tell us what got you started down this road of the skunk ape.
Interestingly enough, when I was in third grade, my third grade teacher had some sort of get together at her house for all of her students. And she told us about how her son, I want to say his name was Matt or Mark. His name was Mark. Mark had some sort of experience where he'd seen something in the woods surrounding his house. This was in Indiana. So when I heard that story, that's when I'm like, this is really interesting. I've never heard of this. And I read a couple books here and there, but I never really put a whole lot of thought into it. Fast forward to 2000, I want to say 10, when the Finding Bigfoot show came on with Matt Moneymaker and his crew. And I was watching that pretty closely. My son had then, at the time, I think he was 16, he told me that there were a lot of stories about Bigfoot or Sasquatch being found in the Florida area. Again, I'm still living in Indiana here at this time. But when I moved here, I had an experience that makes me just want to go search more, you know?
Yeah, and as we were talking earlier before the broadcast, so some of the best stories that I've ever heard have been from people who weren't out looking for this phenomenon. They just happened to come across it, happened to encounter it by chance. So tell us what happened to you.
So on this particular day, I was at work. We'd had rain, torrential rain. If you look behind me, well, you can't see it really right now, but there's been thunderstorms behind me for hours, lightning and thunder. And during the summer months here in Florida, there's a lot of rain. In this particular instance, it was April, I think of 2016. We'd had rain for practically 3 weeks straight, and we weren't able to go out and do anything. You know, can't go out and walk any trails, can't go out to the beach. You're stuck in the house. It's just awful. When the lightning in the Tampa area hits, you just don't go outside because you're inviting death. So on this particular day, though, I had been working. I worked in a laboratory at the time. I'm a medical laboratory technologist or technician, and on this particular day, I wasn't feeling when I looked at my boss and said, hey, if you don't mind, I'd like to leave about a half an hour early. I just wanted to get out and get some fresh air. And the rain had finally stopped. And they said, okay. So I'm driving home, and on a whim, I come across on the road this place called Fort King Trail. It's on 301 in Florida. I had driven by it hundreds of times, but never stopped. But on this particular day, I'm like, I'm going to get out and I'm just going to go for a walk because I need some fresh air. I need to get outside. So I got out of my car and I proceeded to walk down this trail. And as I'm walking down the trail, I come across this very large flooded area. As I'd said, it had been raining for weeks, torrential rains. And so I came across this flooded area of the trail. And so I had to go off the trail to get to continue. I had to literally walk through the scrub to continue on the trail, go around this big flooded area. And as I continued to walk, I came across this spot. And it just, I can't explain. You've got the picture. When I come across this photo or this thing, I'm like, holy cow, is that what I think it is? I never in a million years thought I'd see what I saw, but I saw what appeared to be a Bigfoot track. I took this photo with my foot next to it for comparison. That's a size 12.5 shoe. I did some math or some, if you will, estimating based upon the size of my foot, comparing what I have there. You're looking at probably about 22.5 inches, somewhere between 20 and 23 inches. It was a wet area. And if you go to the further right of me on that where I'm standing there in that photo, about 3 feet, it's dry. But that area was wet. That's the only track I saw, but it looks clearly like a footprint to me.
It absolutely does. And coming from someone who has seen a lot of photographs of tracks and studied a lot of them, I can tell you that this photo that you have is one of the best I've seen. You can definitely see the definition there. So yeah, that was a good catch. And you also provided us with a video of the trail itself. So let me bring that up and kind of walk us through this.
Okay. So in the distance, you can see Tampa up there. The road that you see before you is 301. That's the road I took to and from work every day. You'll see it again here in just a moment. This area here is completely wooded. It's part of the Alafaya River area. You'll see, if you drive down the road, you'll see there's a park where you can rent kayaks and canoe down the rivers.
And if there's any place you want me to stop at, let me know.
Sure. This is the entrance to the trail. As you cross 301, you come to that little gate. And as you continue down the trail, I tried to speed this up a little bit because it's a lot of video. On the right is a person's home. They raised, I think, mules or donkeys, and you can hear them as you're walking on the trail once in a while. And as you look to the left and right, and up here, I'm going to kind of pause where you can kind of look at left and right. You'll see this area is very thick. There's a lot of scrub, a lot of brush. Sorry about the lag in the video.
Oh no, that's me pausing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that is super thick.
Yeah, it's a lot of thick brush. And this trail was pretty dry at this point. But as I come around this bend up here is where we're going to see where the flooded area is. But you can see I paused right here to look left and right so you can see how thick everything is. You really don't want to go off the trail here because there's snakes in the area. As a matter of fact, on that particular day I took this video, I was surprised by a snake. It wasn't a venomous snake. It's just a harmless black racer, but regardless, you really don't want to go off trail because you don't know what you're going to encounter. There are eastern rattlesnakes and eastern diamondback rattlesnakes in this area as well. So come across right in this area right here is what was flooded. I had to walk off the trail and go around this sign here on the right-hand side. Very, very wet. I'll come around the corner. Right about here. If you look at the brown patch there on the right-hand side, that was dry. But right on the left patch, right in front of us, that looks not like it doesn't, you can't see the sand, but right there in the center of the screen is where I saw that footprint. And it struck me. I'm like, I cannot believe I'm seeing what I think I'm seeing. I had to take a picture of it. And I kick myself to this day for not having plaster with me or going back with a bag of plaster to make a cast of it. To this day now, I carry a bag of plaster in my car, just in case.
Oh, great idea. Great idea. And this area is obviously prime Bigfoot country, definitely. Have you heard of any notable reports in that area?
Interestingly enough, not long before I was out here walking, I had seen a YouTube video where there's an area just on the north, I want to say the northeast side of Tampa, more north than east, northeast, called Lettuce Lake Park. And there was a guy who had gone out on a particular day to go kayaking. And you can find this on video on YouTube. If you look up Lettuce Lake Park Bigfoot, you can find it on YouTube. But you can see clearly that there is something off in the water, standing about what for you and I would probably be just above the navel, maybe 3 inches above the navel in depth of water. But there's something in that water, and it's huge, and it is taking a stick or something and beating the heck out of whatever's in the water, perhaps a gator. The thing about that is that a human of any intelligence would, number one, not dress up in a furry suit and get in water.
Right.
It's going to weigh a ton. Number two, a human of any intelligence, furry suit or not, is not going to get in that water because there are venomous snakes such as the cottonmouth, and there are also alligators. So put all three of those together: furry suit, venomous snakes, alligators, human, dumb idea. Right?
Yes.
So, but I encourage your viewers to go check out that video. It's intriguing, and you can clearly see something huge in the water, and that's probably about maybe 15 miles from this site. But it was called Lettuce Lake Park, and this is Fort King Trail, right on 301. This area is heavily wooded. There's not many houses here. If you go far enough down the trail, you come across a homestead that somebody has there, and they've got like a trailer and a little farm back there. But for the most part, this is all wooded and fairly uninhabited.
So have you been back to this area in a research capacity since then?
The day I took this video, actually, I kind of went back in a research capacity. The very first time, it was interesting. The very first time I was back there, after I saw the footprint, as I continued walking the trail, it was a little nerve-wracking for me because I'm thinking to myself, is one out here, right? So I've heard stories about people who do this. They'll go out there and say, they'll express their intentions. Hey, I'm here. I'm walking these woods. I mean you no harm. And I basically and some people might think I'm crazy with this, but I said, I'm here. I'm walking the woods. I mean you harm. If you want to show yourself to me, I would love that. I will not cause you any harm. I will not be a danger to you whatsoever. As you can see, this trail is quite a ways back. But when I went back again this time to record this video with my drone, I went back with the same intentions. Hey, I'm in this area. If you want to show yourself to me, it'd be amazing. I will not, approach you. I won't give you any harm, but I'm here and I would love to see you. Show me that you're here. Did I see one this time? No, no footprints either. However, I got some great video, and you can see clearly this is a heavily wooded area, thick brush, and it's prime real estate for a Bigfoot. And a moment ago, I showed on the video, and your viewers can kind of rewind it. There's an area where I point out where Lettuce Lake is approximately. It's, like I said, it's about a 15-mile, maybe 20-mile distance from where I was. But there were sightings not too far from here. And there are also some researchers in the area who spent a lot of time in what's called the Green Swamp area, which is maybe an hour north of here. They've found, tree structures. They found not big trees that have been flipped upside down like you guys see up in Alaska or in Washington, but they found some small trees that were kind of flipped over and shoved into the ground. They found woven vines together. It's intriguing. They found some prints. And that is the Mid-Florida Bigfoot Research. I can't remember the exact name, but if you look at Mid-Florida Research, Bigfoot Research, you'll find them.
Have you thought about setting up a gifting site out there?
I actually had never thought about that, but that's not a bad idea. I sent you a photo of a tree. As I was walking that very first time, there was a tree that had fallen. Those of you who know anything about Florida, you'll know that there's a lot of hurricanes that come through, and so trees fall regularly here. And this particular tree, you're looking at the root system. This is probably what we call a laurel oak here in Florida. They tend to fill with water, and so they're hollow. And when I came across this tree, I got this really, really strong, for want of a better word, vibe that I was being watched. And you and I have talked about this previously. Like, a lot of people tend to say they feel like they're being watched. And when I got to this tree, I thought, I want to go look inside, right? I didn't. Fear got the better of me.
So let's take a look at this closer. Take us through this angle.
That's basically just the opening, the hollow part of the tree. When I first came across this tree, it had not basically deteriorated as much. It was a bigger opening. This is probably 5 or 6 years after the fact. So this tree had time to deteriorate and to sink into the earth. What I came across was a much bigger opening when I first saw it. Interestingly enough, when I first moved to Florida, again, I wanted to get out. I wanted to explore. I went for a hike in a little area near Land O'Lakes, Florida, not far from another area called Newport Richey. And I'm walking through this wooded area. It's a little nature preserve they have. And I came across a bunch of brush that had been piled up, like almost like if you were come across spruce limbs in Alaska, right? And they had been piled up into almost like a dome shape. And there was an opening. And I thought to myself, I wonder if there's a Bigfoot inside that thing. And I knew better not to look.
Are there any deer in this area?
I have not seen any deer here personally, but I wouldn't be surprised. There are very large river otters in this area. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are deer. There are also armadillo in this area, a lot of armadillo.
During the times that you've been down this trail, have you ever gone down there in the evening or heard any type of vocalizations or tried any callings yourself?
I went down this trail once in the evening, and the fear got the better of me. I didn't go very far because I was by myself. There was nobody with me, and so I didn't go very far down. Um, it's very dark back there, and so no, I didn't. But I kind of wish I had.
Yeah, you are sitting on a research gold mine here, with that vast wooded area. Be a great place to try to set up a gifting spot and see how that goes, as well as put some recorders out there and possibly get some audio. But have you come across any additional tracks, or is that the only one you've managed to find so far?
That's the only gold nugget I've ever found. I'd love to find more, but I haven't come across yet. But like I said, there are people in the area who have found several prints. And you could see there's, like I said, if you look at Mid Florida Research, Bigfoot Research Group, you can find a lot of their photos that they found in the Green Swamp area and in the Tampa area.
Given its close proximity, as you pointed out in the video, to is it Lettuce Lake? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yeah, given its close proximity, I mean that's nothing. So yeah, very close, and yeah, there we are, Lettuce Lake
Yeah.
Park. Wow. Yeah, you came across a good find there,
It's pretty intriguing.
Bronson. Good find. Um, have you thought about exploring any other areas in that particular zone?
I actually have, but a little bit north. I was telling you earlier about the Green Swamp area. Have been in contact with several people from the Mid Florida Bigfoot Research Group. One of them actually lives here in Lakeland, and he and I have talked about going out before, but it hasn't worked out with my work schedule. As I said, I work in a hospital laboratory, so it's difficult for me to sometimes be able to match up when they're going out as to my work schedule. So I'm hoping to do it sometime, but it hasn't happened yet.
So, given your experience now, and finding the track and looking into the topic further, what is your theory on what these creatures might be?
It's an interesting thought. There's a lot of theories out there, as you know. Um, what is L.A. Marzulli seems to think that they might be
Right.
related to the Nephilim. There are those who tend to think that they are interdimensional beings because they can disappear so quickly, slip in and out of this particular dimension. I don't tend to go down either of those paths. I can see where both of them are coming from and I can understand their thought processes, but I tend to lean towards the idea of the North American primate that is just really good at staying hidden for the most part. I've heard enough stories about people who've seen them in person, literally within 10 to 15 yards. So there's no mistaking it. There's been evidence found here. There's been evidence found in Washington State, in Arkansas, where they find hair and they do DNA processing on it. And it's clearly not human, but it has some sort of primate relation, if you will. So I tend to lean toward North American primate.
Yeah, and there's a lot of evidence that would certainly support that theory, and it's really interesting to hear people's perspectives on what they think this creature might be. And there's really no wrong answer, because until we have a body, and when I say that, I always have to say this: I'm not saying go out and try to shoot a Bigfoot,
Yeah.
but we both know how science operates and what type of evidence is going to be needed. So, but yeah, that's why I say that. So, are there any other states in the South that if given the opportunity, you'd like to do some research in?
I wouldn't be against going through Georgia. Georgia's got a lot of areas that I think might be conducive to a Bigfoot. It's a lot of open areas, kind of like in Florida. You have these very concentrated, populous areas like Tampa, Orlando, but then there's this big, huge gaps where there's nothing that have not been developed yet. You'll find that in Georgia, some places as well. Maybe some in North or South Carolina. Um, Obviously, I would love to get out and check out Arkansas, and I would love to go up to the Northeast, like in Washington State, and check out some of the Olympia area. That'd be really cool.
So, do you believe that the government knows these creatures exist?
That's a good question. I don't know. I really don't know. I want to say the conspiracy theorist in all of us, right? The one that's in me at least says they probably do, but they don't want to, but then again, it's a conspiracy theory for a reason, right? So maybe not. I don't know. It's a good question.
So, you've got the drone, which is awesome. And we introduced drones into our research about I think it was 2 years ago. And we have what we call the 5 T's of Bigfoot research. And the last one we say is technology. Never be afraid to try new technology. So sending the drone over your research area and utilizing that technology is a great idea. It's become more common now in cryptid research. So definitely keep that up. Have you thought about putting any game cameras out there, or like we do in Arkansas? We not only put the game cameras on trees, but we hide them in brush piles. And obviously, if you're in snake country, you got to be really careful when you're
Right.
on brush piles. But have you
Snake eaters.
yeah. And have you thought about doing that?
I don't personally own any game cameras. I would love to do that. I think it'd be cool to set one or two out there in that area at least. I've never had the opportunity to do that, but it intrigues me, and if I ever have the opportunity, I definitely will.
So now that you're on the path of cryptid research, how do you think you'd react if you actually had a sighting of this creature?
Part of me says I would speak to it and try and be friendly with it and hope that it would, not run from me. But part of me says I'm human and they're huge. And I might just go, holy crap, and turn tail and run. But I like to think that I would try, like rustle a cord, and I would try and chase the thing down.
So how has your family reacted to your photo and story?
It's interesting. My son, he is 30 years old, I think, 30, almost 31. And he used to watch the Finding Bigfoot series with me with Matt Moneymaker and his crew, which some people think is a controversial group of people checking them out. But anyhow, he and I used to watch that together, and he was intrigued by it. My wife, she's like, oh, okay, that's nice. But she doesn't treat me like I'm an idiot. She says, that could be. She doesn't dismiss it. She's skeptical. She's far more skeptical than I've ever been. I like to think of myself as a skeptical believer. I believe because I've seen what I've seen based upon that photo. And I want to see more. When I see more, I feel like I'll believe more, right? And a lot of people are like that. They're skeptical believers, and I think she's more skeptical than believer. My other kids, I have one that lives in Anchorage. That's how you and I kind of met when I was on my way home from visiting her. She told me, "Hey, Bronson, did you see the Sasquatch on the way to Palmer?" I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Yeah, there's a Sasquatch on the way to Palmer."
Oh, yeah.
It's always there. And so she plays with me, right? And sure enough, she pointed it out to me. It's what is it, a steel cutout that's propped up on the road
Right.
off of
Right.
the
And they're starting to
cliff.
pop up in more places now up here.
Yeah. So she knows, I believe. I mean, I wear shirts that have Bigfoot and aliens on them all the time. I have a when I went through Ted Stevens Airport, one of the girls introduced you and I because I was wearing a shirt that I think said Sasquatch is my spirit animal. Um,
Right.
so people, family, they kind of chuckle because I wear those. They chuckle because I believe, but they also have seen the photo, and they go, "Interesting." And oftentimes when I meet new people, I'll ask them, "What is the most unusual thing that you've seen that is unexplainable? Like, what is the most unusual thing you've seen?" And I'll hear a lot of things, but then I'll pull that picture out and I go, "Huh, that's very interesting." So um, there, there are people who say, "Yes, that's great, Bronson," and there are other people who go, "That's nice, Bronson."
Yeah. A lot of people talk about the TV show Finding Bigfoot, and a lot of people rank on it, especially in the Bigfoot research community.
Yeah,
But one of the things that show did was that it brought the topic mainstream.
exactly.
It started a lot of conversations. And although the cast at times didn't have very much control of what they were doing and what they were always being told what to do, or not always, but a lot of the time, as from what I've heard, that show really broke ground in bringing the topic mainstream, and it actually, you know, bu- as crazy as it sounds, it helped build relationships. People got together and formed groups and started going out and doing their own research. So, as some of its silliness, yeah, there was some of its silliness in there, but it really was groundbreaking in introducing people to the topic, other than the Patterson Gimlin film. What would you say?
I would agree with you wholeheartedly. I'd heard of the Patterson Gimlin film and seen it, over the years, um, but you never really heard a lot of people talk about it. And if they did, they're like, "You're crazy for thinking that man in a monkey suit is a Bigfoot, right?" But when you see Finding Bigfoot, the one that broke the ground for it, the what you're seeing today on TV with the Expedition Bigfoot, it opened some eyes. It made people think. It made people go, "I wonder." And now you've got groups like in Florida, the mid what is it, I'm drawing a blank now, the Great Florida Central Bigfoot Research Group. You got Arkansas, you got the North Dakota group. They're all over now, and they're coming together and they're sharing stories. And now you've got Expedition Bigfoot, and they're doing some phenomenal science, not just chasing and not just putting a huge guy named Bobo up next to a tree, but like they're actually doing science, and it's intriguing, and it's opened up the field immensely.
Now, you being somebody in the medical field, uh, what do you think it's going to take for science to acknowledge the existence of this creature?
It's like you said earlier, it's going to take a body. Um, DNA saying that is not human and it's a big primate. That's just somebody's going to say there's an orangutan loose in the woods. It's going to take a body or a skeleton or finding a pod of Sasquatch in the woods who are living together. It's going to take something big. It's unfortunately because we are a skeptical society.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Um, I'm hoping that you'll get back out to that research area at night and start experimenting with calls, and maybe consider putting some audio equipment out there. My partners in Arkansas, William Lunsford and Stephen Hill. Stephen is our audio guy, and he's put recorders out in our research areas and come up with some amazing audio. But it's with the audio stuff, it's very you're very committed because you've really got to comb over hours of recordings, maybe to just
Yeah.
hear 2 seconds vocalizations. But that would be awesome if you could get out to that area at night and kind of experiment with the audio stuff and doing the calls.
I tell you what, Dan, you come down with me, we'll go out together. Because I'm not going out there by myself.
I would definitely do it. I would definitely do it. Like I said, I've been wanting to talk to my co-host and I, Matt, have been wanting to talk to somebody from Florida, and we're fortunate. I was fortunate enough to meet you, and you showed me that picture there before you got on the flight. And like I said before, it's one of the best track photos that I've seen. So you really came across something special at the right time.
I was very lucky.
So Bronson Grooms from Lakeland, Florida, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us and sharing that awesome story. We definitely want to keep in touch and check back in with you and see where your research will take you from here. And like I said earlier, you've got an absolute gold mine of a research area there. You're already off to a great start, and we know that there's great things in the future for you. So thanks for taking the time to be with us.
It's my pleasure.
All right. Keep in touch, sir. We will check back in with you for a part 2, most definitely.
All right. Thank you.
All right. To our viewers, thanks for tuning in, and hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.